What was the scariest moment that you've ever had?
I was in Barcelona with some friends, ended up in a pretty local bar and having a few drinks with the barman. He talked about another bar and said he'd take us in a taxi as he was finishing soon. Got in a taxi with him and started to drive a long way, started to get rural, and I asked him how far. He just laughed and said something in Spanish to the driver, who laughed as well. We stopped at some traffic lights and I pushed my two, a lot drunker than me, friends out of the car and told them to run. Found another taxi, luckily, and jumped in. The taxi driver was surprised, as we were miles from anywhere we should have been as tourists. He was on his way home but took us back to the city.
Similar story with me in Bangalore, India. I was there on a study abroad, had already spent 3 months in India a few years previously, and it was the first night. All the students were meeting at a spot for dinner for the first night, so we all hopped into Uber cars and tuk-tuks where we were staying to make the trip. I got into a tuk-tuk with 2 other girls, and I was keeping an eye on the route since it was a new city while they were chatting it up. At first all was well, but then we took a wrong turn. The map told the driver when to U-turn. He didn't. It gave another chance to. He made no move to. I started getting that dread feeling and telling the girls that we were going the exact wrong direction, and they kept insisting it was fine, and he'd turn around when he could. Traffic be crazy and all that. I started gesturing to the guy that we needed to turn back, and he just waved me off. We were on a highway like now headed the exact opposite direction towards a part of the city tourists should not go to. Businesses here were already closed or closing for the night. There were fewer lights, and it was increasingly run down. I finally started screaming that I was going to jump out because I'd rather get hit by another car than go to the second location. It was so obvious by now that he was taking us somewhere else. I started to make moves to jump, and the other 2 girls began screaming. Surprisingly, the driver slowed down and let us off in the middle of the road before speeding off. I'm assuming my getting hit by a car and witnesses would have been way worse for him, but I don't know. Thankfully, there was a candy shop type of place that was just shutting down, and the woman let us come in and wait for another Uber to take us back to the restaurant. I don't think those 2 girls ever believed me that something really bad was going down, but we'd gone about 20 minutes in the wrong direction with ample time and opportunity to turn back, and the driver was completely ignoring my protests while we were headed into a known sketchy area. Personally, I've really enjoyed the 6 months I've spent in India in my life, and have been fortunate that the scary or uncomfortable things tourists describe as common never happened to me, but that moment is up in my top 3 of scariest experiences.
There are some people who just will not believe in danger until they're actually victimized. My BF and I went to a big city once and had to stop at a gas station in a sketchier part. As we were walking in, someone started shooting close by. I, and all the locals, immediately got low and started going back to our cars. People were running out of the store. Even the cashier was running. I had to scream at my BF to get the fuck back in the car now to get him to even break stride. He did listen, but reluctantly. I was like, dude, if the locals are crouching and running, you fucking crouch and run. He still doesn't think we were really in danger.
Don't forget to subscribe if you love Jesus.